Welcome to Muggles and Mocha, everybody. It's so good to be back. I took a little tiny vacation to see my family down south. It was so fun, and a good, much needed time away. I am very happy to be back and to talk about Harry Potter some more because I found that I need it in my life during such a crazy time, and I just get so much happiness from this, and I hope that you do too. If you're new here, we are a Harry Potter book club going through all of the Harry Potter books one chapter at a time. We're currently in the middle of the first book, and it's going to be a while, which I'm so happy with. But yeah, we're working through all the books. This book club is connected to my editing website, madisonkdarby.com. I write a lot of articles there, and I have one for this week too, which is in the description box below. If you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe, and you can follow me on social media, which is all listed on my website. So, as the title says, we drink coffee while we talk about Harry Potter, but today I have some tea. These are some of my favorite mugs. They're a mug, but they're almost teacup-ish. This is some new tea that I got from Jungle Gems, which is a super cool store in Cincinnati. Some of you may have heard of it. Very fun. And it has basically anything you could ever want in there, and a lot of products from different countries. And this was in the UK Britain section, so there you go. And I might start drinking tea on here more. I know that probably doesn't matter to you guys in the slightest, but I love tea. Tea and milk, y'all. The British know what they're doing with that. Okay, today we're going through two chapters, chapters 11 and 12. So we're gonna be kind of racing through some material since there is so much to cover today, but I like that we're doing this because I just couldn't talk about Quidditch for that long, you guys. I'm not a good announcer, and it would basically just be me prattling off what happened during the game. We finished the last chapter with the trio's friendship. I love Hermione's dynamic in the group, as I wrote about last week. I think that each individual person just brings so much to that friendship. They're so different, but then also just really complement each other's strengths. So we finally have the gang together. And chapter 11, as I have said, is about Quidditch. And the season has started. We see Harry reading Quidditch Through the Ages, which I actually had as a kid. It's really like, I didn't think it was boring or anything like that. You know, it's the history of Quidditch, so if you haven't read it, it is pretty interesting to see how that game originated. But besides Quidditch in this chapter, the main important thing that happens is Harry sees Snape's leg, his injury, and he hears him talking about Fluffy, which leads him to believe that Snape let in the troll on Halloween. And I can't blame Harry. Like we've talked about, Snape is not pleasant, and also he's getting in a lot of situations of wrong place, wrong time with Harry. So as an 11-year-old, yeah, actually as an adult, I would think it was Snape. Then we have the first Quidditch match of the season, and can I just say, I just forgot how perfect Lee Jordan is as an announcer. I forgot how much he hits on Angelina during these games, and it just makes for such a fun time. His banter with Professor McGonagall, gosh. You know, I just think J.K. Rowling did a good job at making these Quidditch matches fun, because I'm sure it could get repetitive writing about people playing a sport. We have the rogue broom incident. I think that this part is really interesting because I feel like it was kind of careless on Quirrell's part. I mean, I'm sure Voldemort, with his hatred of Harry, would have wanted like Quirrell to hurt him any chance he could get, but it's such a public event. I don't know, maybe this was Quirrell's choice. Not sure. I just think that the planning was a little strange on that one. But then meanwhile, we see Snape was trying to save him. Points for Snape. Because there's no way he could have foreseen that this was going to happen. I mean, I'm sure Dumbledore told him to be on the lookout because strange things are happening at Hogwarts all the time, and we've got the Sorcerer's Stone there. So I'm sure Snape was on high alert, but for him to react the way he did with his counter curse does show that that was a gut instinct for him to protect Harry. So points for Snape. In our little talk about him, whether he's a redeemable character, I do think that this is a good moment, but we will be back to talk about him later. Harry ends up swallowing the snitch, and it's a happy ending for his first match. Woo! But as we know, the snitch turns out to be very important by the end of the series, and actually, there are 2 objects in these chapters that end up coming back to play a huge role in the 7th book, which we'll be talking about today. Our trio has a conversation with Hagrid about how they think Snape is responsible for the troll, how they're trying to catch him in the act stealing whatever is hidden there. They don't know yet. And this is the first time they hear Nicolas Flamel's name. So this is a huge moment. We actually have an article coming up soon about the real Nicolas Flamel, because there was a real Nicolas Flamel, and don't judge, but I didn't know that. I mean, come on, like, I knew that there was like Philosopher's Stone legends and stuff like that, but I didn't know that there was actually someone named Nicolas Flamel until recently, and that is what our article is going to be about. So keep an eye out for that. So next, we have Chapter 12, The Mirror of Erised, and you guys, this week's article, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of a hard one to write. We've briefly touched on loss a couple of times as we've started this book, but this is kind of the first time we really dive into loss in Harry's life. So we are going to be talking about that. I haven't mentioned this yet. The rant stick is here. This is my wand, my passionate moment rant stick that I just have to pick up when I just really need to say something important. The Mirror of Erised is important. Gosh, I'm excited to dive into it, and we can be sad together. But first, before we get serious, we have the Weasley twins bouncing snowballs off of the back of Quirrell's turban, aka Voldemort's face. That is funny. I'm surprised that Voldemort didn't really hold a vendetta against them. I guess he couldn't see. I don't know. Funny moment. Also, we're getting into Christmas at Hogwarts. And y'all, this is one of my favorite parts of the books. Christmas and the decorations, and just, it's always such a happy time in the books. It's kind of like, up to that point, I mean, with each book, you're kind of like going through the school year, and there's a lot of suspicious stuff happening at the beginning. But then I feel like at Christmas, we always get a tiny little reprieve off of all of the strange things that are happening. And then once the spring hits, Voldemort is back in action and just really hates finals time. That's when he decides to strike every year. During this time, the gang has been searching and searching for Nicolas Flamel in all the wrong places, as we find out, but they decide he might be in the restricted section. This is the first time the restricted section is mentioned, and as we know, it comes back over and over in the books and is a lot of the time places that the kids want to get their information from. And I just really wonder what all is in the restricted section. Like, it's only supposed to be for older students and is apparently about dark magic, but I mean, we know Horcruxes are mentioned in the restricted section. I just wonder, like, how far do you go, like, with what you let the kids learn about dark magic, which is supposed to be wrong, and it's just about fighting it? I don't know. Then we have Christmas Day. Harry's first real Christmas, really. Like, I just hate thinking about what his Christmases with the Dursleys must have looked like. I mean, we get a small insight with their present for him. At least they sent him a present. I mean, that kind of takes some effort. I don't know. Harry gets some presents, not only from the Dursleys, but from his friends, and he's just so surprised and happy that this is happening and that he has presents. And we get introduced to the famous Weasley sweater. And actually, I'm gonna try a little bit of editing magic, so here we go. Yeah! Okay, so if you can't see it all the way, I do have a Weasley sweater. Ron's Weasley sweater, I'm not gonna lie, it's a bit itchy, but worth it. I got it from the Wizarding World of Harry Potter last year, and when I saw it in the store, I just knew it was meant to be. So the itchiness is worth it. I just usually wear a t-shirt under it. And I would have worn it the whole video, but it's summer and it's hot. So didn't know if I'd make it through the whole video with this, although it is actually a little breezy. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So Christmas time, we get Weasley sweaters. Harry gets one, his emerald green, and just, oh my gosh. Mrs. Weasley has met him one time. I mean, I know Ron has been writing home about him, I'm sure, but it's just so thoughtful of her to think of him and send him that. I love Mrs. Weasley. I feel so British right now with my jumper and my black tea that is supposedly from England. I don't know. What a good day. But the most important present of the day for Harry is the invisibility cloak. And goodness, guys, like what a big moment. For many reasons, which we're going to break down in a second. First things first, this is the first object I believe that he inherited from his father. And unlike many of us, Harry just doesn't really have any connection to his parents except for Hogwarts now, being a part of the world that they lived in. So this is the first thing that he's ever been able to really hold and call his, that belonged to his dad. And I'm sure he just feels just such a strong bond to him through the invisibility cloak as his years at Hogwarts go on. Second, the invisibility cloak is a present from Dumbledore, and this is kind of the first introduction we get into their relationship. As we know, their relationship is going to grow and grow, and Dumbledore's very invested in Harry and helps him accomplish everything, albeit mysteriously and with a lot of missing details. We'll talk about that later. Dumbledore, I have trouble not getting annoyed. I understand there are probably reasons, but just a lot of questions throughout the book for Harry when it comes to Dumbledore and what he wants. Third, about the invisibility cloak, is that it is one of the 3 Deathly Hallows, which will come back in the 7th. And this is where the snitch that Harry catches in this the chapter before this comes into play too, because that ends up being the container for the Resurrection Stone, another Deathly Hallow. So gosh, this first book, like, it really does introduce things that are going to be coming back into play that are super important. And I just love how we can trace these little moments all throughout the series. So, Christmas continues. We get another feast, which, as we've seen in the last video, you guys know how I feel about these feasts. I love them. I want to go. And the Christmas ones are just so special too. Like these party favors that they have. That for me, maybe it's an American thing. I don't know. My family, we didn't have like any sort of party favors for Christmas. Cause like Harry briefly mentions that, you know, the Dursleys had some that were just not as cool as magical ones, obviously. But yeah, I want these party favors. I want any. Like, is there any, like, you pull a cracker and something? I don't know. Am I confused? Like, is this something people do? Is it just magical? Let me know. As the day ends, we get Harry's first adventure in the cloak. And Harry running around in the invisibility cloak, sneaking past Filch and Snape and whoever else, just becomes a huge staple of the books. So this first time is just really neat to think about. Harry goes to the restricted section, another staple of the book series, and finds that screaming book. Y'all, when I first watched that movie, and even now when I watch it, honestly, that screaming book, it just catches me off guard every time. He narrowly escapes Filch and Snape and finds the Mirror of Erised. Okay, I just need to hold this the whole time we're talking about the Mirror of Erised. This is what I wrote the article about this week. And like I mentioned earlier, it's a doozy. I felt very emotional writing that article. Oh, we'll get into it. On a happy note, you can buy the Mirror of Erised. Oh, off the top of my head, I can't think of how big it is. But you can buy it from Target, and I kind of want to. I kind of like, I don't know, want it to go on one of the walls in here. We have a lot of brick and then gray walls, and I just think the Mirror of Erised would look really cool. I think I'm gonna look into that. So this mirror shows your deepest desire. And for Harry, this means seeing the family he never had, that he was deprived of. And the saddest part to me, or I'm gonna be saying that a lot, one of the saddest parts is that Harry doesn't even realize who it is at first. He's never seen his family before, not even his parents. And you know, when you think back, he talks about how the Dursleys never had pictures of them in the house. So like, this is Harry's first time seeing his parents, and the fact that he can tell who they are just from looking at them and seeing the resemblance is oof. Big oof. And as we see through the rest of this chapter, Harry becomes a bit obsessed with it. It's understandable. I can't even imagine. I cannot even imagine seeing my family, who I've always wanted to know, in this mirror. I would want to go there all the time. And as Dumbledore mentions later, you know, he says men can waste away in front of it. And honestly, I think Harry is one of the people who would have, but due to the nature of his desire. Like, Ron's desire, of course, is also important. It's his deepest desire. It's important to Ron. But I think that what sets the two boys' desires apart is that Harry's is a desire for an impossible future. Because of that, it doesn't foster hope or a drive for success or to seek some sort of goal like what Ron's would have. Instead, it just creates more desire for something that Harry could never have, and it just grow and grow and turn into this longing. And I just can't imagine what it would do to somebody's soul, just constantly looking at something off, not even in the future. It's something you could never have, and just dwelling on it day after day after day. Oof. Man, I'm gonna be saying oof a lot, like, oof. Also, I think some of Harry's obsession and then the depressive behaviors that follow, you know, him not wanting to hang out with his friends, not really wanting to eat, just constantly thinking about the mirror, are a result of the realization for him that this mirror is the closest he can ever get to his family. Like, deep down, you know, Harry's 11. I'm sure he's dealing with a lot of emotions that he doesn't know how to handle. I couldn't handle anything at 11. I can barely handle anything now, you know? So, but I think deep down he does realize that this is it, and he wants to hold it as close as he can because it's all he has. Now, as we know, loss is huge in these books. Huge, huge, huge. It's gonna come back and back and back. Y'all are gonna get tired of me talking about it. But of course, it's gonna be about different elements every time. Like, besides his parents, Harry loses people that he loves later on in the book. There's like a loss of innocence that happens, a loss of safety. There is just a lot going on that Harry and his friends have to deal with. So yeah, this topic is gonna come up every once in a while. But in this chapter, I feel like it's the first big moment that we get where we see Harry grappling with these feelings of loss. Thankfully, Harry does have someone like Dumbledore, and we know from what Dumbledore sees in the mirror that he definitely understands what Harry's going through and knows how to talk to him about it, not just because he's wise and awesome. I mean, come on, it's Dumbledore. But because his desire is essentially the same. Dumbledore wishes for his family to be whole and together. Another impossible future. And I'm sure that looking in that mirror is something that he has had to deal with, the feelings that come along with that. So I'm so glad he got to talk to Harry about this soon after Harry discovers the mirror. I think it's interesting that Dumbledore knows that Harry has gone to see it. And I mean, this is a little bit of speculation on my part, but, he knows that Ron was there. He was kind of sneaky, spying on them or whatever, like he's sitting in the room with them while they are seeing this mirror. But he doesn't say anything. And I don't know, I almost wonder if he wanted Harry to be able to experience it, especially being someone else who's going through this. I wonder if you do get a certain sense of peace seeing it. I don't know. I just think there's a lot going on here, guys, and that Dumbledore is just great with the way he deals with Harry in this situation. We end this chapter with Dumbledore telling Harry that the mirror is going to be moved to a new home, and he asks him not to go looking for it again, which, as we kind of talked about, is for the best. And we know where the mirror is going to be going because it's going to be guarding the Sorcerer's Stone. And like I talked about last week, I just think that is the best challenge ever. Dumbledore, ingenious plan. So we'll be seeing the Mirror of Erised later on. Again, read my article about it. I kind of go a little bit more into the origins of the Mirror of Erised, where it came from, the inscription on the top, which is actually just backwards. Yeah. Okay, like I knew that Erised is desire, but I didn't realize that the entire inscription was backwards until I researched this. So it took me a while to kind of like unscramble it backwards. It was kind of funny. But yeah, read that article. I'm going to put it in the description box below. I hope you like it. It covers a little bit more about the loss that Harry is experiencing during this part of the book. Then we have the last paragraph of chapter 12. So Harry has just asked Dumbledore what he sees in the mirror. Dumbledore tells him woolen socks, which, I mean, I love a pair of socks, but you know. Harry, as we see, is a little suspicious. The book says, "One can never have enough socks," said Dumbledore. "Another Christmas has come and gone, and I didn't get a single pair. People will insist on giving me books." It was only when he was back in bed that it struck Harry that Dumbledore might not have been quite truthful. But then, he thought, as he shoved Scabbers off his pillow, it had been quite a personal question. So, that's the end. Pretty sad. Oh my goodness, Dumbledore. What an enigma. I would say there's more to him that meets the eye, but even what meets the eye is mysterious also. I'm excited to talk more about Dumbledore as we find out more and more about him and his plans for Harry and, you know, his against stopping Voldemort and all of that. And also his tragic backstory, which I'm hoping we're going to learn more about with the Fantastic Beasts movie. I'm really hoping that COVID has not pushed it back too much. I haven't done much research into it, but I'm ready for another movie. So that is all we have for today. It's been a really fun video to make. I'm glad I finally got to pull on my Weasley sweater. I've been planning this for a while. And actually, I think every time we get a Christmas chapter, this good old boy is gonna be coming out. Rain or shine, summer or winter, you're gonna see it. Next week, we are going to have an article about the real Nicolas Flamel, like I said, and also we may be covering 2 chapters again in the video. I will keep you posted on that, but the next chapter is pretty short, and then we have Norbert coming around, so there's a lot going on. I'll let you know. Okay, let's just keep getting lost in Harry Potter. A happier place to be right now than a lot of what's going on in the world, and I'm so happy that some of you guys have gotten to tune in every week. I hope you like it, and let's just keep going. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. If you like this video, there'll be more to come. And also, I posted this the other day, but I'll say it here too. We're gonna have some more literary topics coming to the Get Lit portion of the blog, and one of them is going to be a book review for Suzanne Collins' new book, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which is a little bit of a prequel to the Hunger Games series. I love the Hunger Games. I super loved them when I read them. I was in like middle school and high school, so prime time in my life for books. So yeah, just keep an eye out. We're gonna be posting some more stuff about that and about different authors and yeah, all that literary stuff. So I'll see you guys next week. I'm almost done with my tea, so right on time. I hope you guys have a safe weekend and a great week. I'll see you again soon.